Hello everyone, welcome to Astrological Association podcast. I'm Rod Chang. Well, this week's supposed to be Alejo host this podcast, but he is traveling at this moment, so I'm replacing him. I'm really sorry if you're expecting to see Alejo's handsome face. So, how are you feeling? I mean, here in UK, we can really feel that autumn's feeling, right? The temperatures drop, the leaf falling over, and and for these couple days, the kind of a feeling is pretty intense. Especially, we just have the result of the U.S. presidential election. Well, it doesn't matter which side you support. Well, election is like competition. You always have a winner and have someone to lose. And if we believe in democratic value, then we should respect the result, right? What I say is like we will hear a lot of people talking about the world is divided, our society is divided. Yes and no. I mean, from my personal view, this world is always have different people. We have different mind. We have different cultural background. I'm from Asia. Some people from South Asia. Some people have the, European view or traditional view or progressive view. We all have a different view. The thing is that we all should working together. I still remember early this month when I join Wendy, our chair, and Alejo talking about the new moon chart, in the new moon update. We have the new moon at 9 degrees Scorpio. Also we focus on at that time, we have that Mars opposite Pluto. We still under the influence of a Mars opposite Pluto. During that time was in the cardinal sign, so it's quite impulsive. The one key word of cardinal sign is active and bring things out and action, take the action and react quickly. So during that time, we can feel that kind of a tension. But also never forget in that chart, we have, some people will say, Star of Davis. Some people will say you can see the kite. Yes, at least you will notice the Mercury at 28 degree, Scorpio, and also we have the Neptune at 27 Pisces, and Pluto at 29 Capricorn, and the Uranus at 25 degree Taurus, and together with the Mars-Pluto opposition, they form a kite. So in the aspect pattern, the kite is a very flexible aspect pattern. Well, it's a grand trine. We have that kind of water grand trine. Mars trine, Mercury, and try the Neptune. So these three planets that form the water grand trine is emphasized about our feeling, our inward feeling, how we react, and how we nurture ourselves, how we take care of ourselves and take care of other people. And this set of a very, very cozy, laid back, and nurturing water grand trine together with the Mars-Pluto opposition can create a lot of opportunity. They can really, kind of use that Mars and Pluto as the power dynamic to boost up. Someone asked to join me to the conversation. I'm really sorry. I'm waiting for our guest, Nate. Yeah, today we invite Nate to join us. A few weeks ago, we have Nate join Alejo with a nice conversation that was really popular. So we decided to have Nate back and share about the recent, astrological configuration. We will focus on Mars in Leo, and maybe if we have time, we will talk about the Mercury retrograde. I just saw Mary is online. Hello, Mary. Mary, been a long time. Maybe we should run our podcast sometime, should we? Okay, let me try to see if I can see Net here. All right. Yes, I saw it. For the conversation, okay? Yeah. So what I'm talking about was the okay. So hello, Nate. Hiya. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Yeah, well,
I'm
hi.
very well. I'm very well. And how's that side?
Big question today.
No. Okay. Yes, I know. Yesterday I run another podcast. I couldn't speak. I just yeah. I don't feel okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're all processing all of it in our own ways.
I agree.
Right. We're all
I
doing the best
agree.
we can. Yeah.
Yes, and that is kind of a very interesting. I mean, it's not interesting. It's not funny for most of the people. Well, this situation, the result of the election and how people reacted. Do you think this has something to do with that Mars-Pluto opposition?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I do. I mean, I think the Mars-Pluto opposition will shape or reflect our reactions to
Yeah.
everything going forward, and will be I think it's a way that the larger cycles at work
Yes.
are communicating,
Yeah.
in terms of like these larger collective forces like Pluto
Yes.
communicating through channels like Mars, that are more direct, and that we feel on the personal level as well. So I think
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really a reflection of that whole process. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So we have recently Mars just moving into the Leo. It's totally different dynamic, different quality, different energy from like when Mars was in the Cancer water sign. From the modern view, would be like taking care each other, or maybe leading by the feeling and emotion. But now Mars moving into Leo. What can we expect?
Yeah, well, we're in this interesting time, I think, where we are, like even last week around the new moon in
Yeah.
Scorpio, we had a lot of water energies, like the
Yes.
water grand trine, and
Yeah.
so there was already a lot of feeling, a lot of kind of um, emotional energies, intensity, those kinds of things. But now we're in, and it's interesting that fire is also an element that is associated with
Yeah.
feeling, in terms of like air and earth that are more kind of air being more mental and earth being density and material, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are very broad distinctions, but I think we're on this kind of like fire water path right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
um, and and of course there are other nuances too, but it just occurs to me that Mars and Leo, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of. mm, it, we have to tune into our hearts first of all,
Mm.
because Leo is associated with the heart,
Hmm.
um, and I think we need to check our we need to like kind of get close to how we relate with our anger in certain ways, especially with everything going on.
Yeah.
With Leo, with Leo, there can be the tendency sometimes for like pride or hubris or righteous indignation,
Mhm.
and sometimes that has a place. Like I'm a big believer in, let this moment be a kind of transform your rage into action, into
Mm.
effective action for this moment. Use that rage, but there's a difference between showing the sword and using the sword, right? There's a difference between um, uh, and what I mean is like a difference between that useful sort of showing of fierceness
Hmm.
versus the compulsive use of the sword or use of the gun or use of the temper tantrum or different things like that. So there's a yeah, I think there's this big like, how do you not get how do you relate with anger
Mm.
and relate with all of the intense feelings of fire, that
Mm.
fire brings, but without getting in its compulsive grip, and it's kind of like just the way that you could just blindly destroy anything in your path when you're feeling in a rage.
Yeah.
So that's what, maybe that's like a dramatic way of putting it, on a personal level. But I think we're in such dramatic times, and so that's one thing I would say. There's much more to say. I think there's a lot also about uh, it, just because you asked what can we expect. I think in terms of, as people in bodies, like we're going to be entering a time where there's more fiery kind of more fiery elemental composition. So that sometimes comes with more insomnia. Like
Mm-hmm.
I I didn't sleep much last night. Really, like reeling from the
The
election
feel for you.
results. Yeah, yeah. Uh, but yeah, just like being careful about just staying hydrated, especially. That's always important. But I think like
Mm.
when we enter into like Mars in Leo, Mercury in Sagittarius, and the Sun's going to be in Sagittarius, we have all this fire going
Yes.
on. So
Yes.
hydration and like the need to cool down, which might
Mm.
might sound ironic because in the northern hemisphere, it will be getting colder, but still, like the need to cool down and have like cooling, moistening influences on our body, because we might find that we can just, whether it's temperature-wise or emotionally, overheat. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So, yeah,
You just mentioned about, yes, apparently we have quite a lot of planet in the fire sign. And we just noticed the Mercury moved into the fire sign
yeah,
last week, and the Venus was there for a while.
yeah.
And the Sun, well, we're moving into in a couple weeks' time. So this a firing type energy as Mars. Well, when we check it, it's going to hang in there for a while, isn't it?
It sure is. Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it is, because it's going to be going retrograde in Leo on December 7th,
Mm.
and then it'll station direct again. It's not going to go direct again until February 24th, and by that point it will have retrograded back into Cancer. But
Mm.
yeah, it's going to be there for quite a while. Yes, so we're seeing, and in that time we're going to be seeing that Mars in Leo
Mm.
opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So we'll
Again.
have this kind of mirror image of, we had Mars in Cancer opposite Pluto in Capricorn. Now we're going to see Mars in Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius,
Yeah.
which I think is directly tied to uh, the big. It's directly tied to the election results,
Mm.
to the fallout of the election results, the aftermath, all of those
Mm.
things, and yeah. So yes,
I agree. I agree.
I could go on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on, please.
Well, I mean, it's like people asked me, people would ask me what if I had predictions for the
Hmm.
the U.S.
Yeah.
elections, and I was always kind of trying to encourage people to fast forward and not to bypass, but to sort of say, it's like my mentor used to say, president of what,
Hmm.
like what exactly are we talking about? And to fast forward and say, because we're in the US Pluto return,
Yeah.
we're at the kind of climax, or the end of Pluto moving out of
Mm.
Capricorn for good. Um, and we're in that, and we're also in like the Chiron return and just all
Mm.
these big cycles. Um, there's this moment of reckoning, and the US just cannot continue to um, it can't continue to its actions around the world without facing serious
Mm.
consequences. And so I was always, so people ask me, what's your prediction for the US election? I was always saying, like, fast forward to post election. um, that what we're seeing is there is going to be I think we're looking at a dismantling of the empire structures, and
Mm.
I hope that happens with the most minimal amount of suffering to everyone. And it's a scary time, and about Pluto Pluto in Aquarius, one of the last times that Mars in Mars retrograde in Leo opposed Pluto in Aquarius
Hmm.
was 1790. Around
Hmm.
1790, when the French Revolution was, we
Yeah.
had the French Revolution, a very Aquarian kind of thing. But then
Yes.
we also had Napoleon. So we
Mm.
have to remember, this is something else that I'm trying to encourage people to sort of think about the archetypes, think about the archetypal
Yeah.
realities and the planets. Um, not sometimes we have this immediate positivity bias when we go to
Sure.
the you know the signs or the planets or what have you, and I'm all about, like, yes, positive, like beauty, truth, like that. That's me as a person. But I also uh but um with Aquarius, the temptation is often to think that it will automatically guarantee the good side of Aquarius, right? Like revolution, enlightenment, liberation, these kinds of things. Where, but if we can look at it a little bit more, like zoom out a little bit,
Yeah.
Aquarius really, really, what it promises, in my mind, I'm curious to hear what you think, but it
Yeah.
promises disruption
Yeah.
and extremes.
Yeah.
So we're seeing more and more schisms, and it kind of reminds me of the Aquarius glyph.
Yeah.
We're seeing more extremes and schisms, and people sort of siloed into different reality tunnels,
Yeah.
um, and an extreme fractured fracture and disruption of the status quo. And I hope that that doesn't, I again, I hope that that happens with the most minimal amount of suffering to everyone involved. Um, I hope that the fascist theocratic aspect of, like, Trump is not what's in our wildest nightmares. But as we know, and I'm just being real here, like the shadow side of Aquarius uh, can be an overcorrection of the revolutionary, liberating impulses of Aquarius, right? So, like, the shadow side, we get like lockstep conformity and police state
Mm.
and fascism is on the rise everywhere. Um, so this is all to say, I think that it's important to hold, like, the three worlds perspective on this upper world, where we can see the zoom out and see the bigger picture context, and see that, like, from the great mystery spirit's perspective, like, everything is unfolded. We can trust in divine timing and all that. But from the middle world level, we have to stay in the moment and handle it a day at a time, the way we'd handle a hurricane, right?
Yes.
And help the people who we love, and form really strong communities, and from an underworld perspective, to to be able to kind of slow down and see and notice, recognize what's being composted here and what is going
Mm.
into decay, which I would
Mm.
say is like U.S. empire or imperialistic structures in
Mm.
general, even if
Mm.
it's happening in a process that's pretty nasty for us on a middle world level. So that's what I would say about all of that. I I want to pause though and hear what you think, because I don't know if I fully answered your question.
Yeah, beautiful word. Very, very beautiful. And this is the message. I mean, probably we need, especially if you are not happy with the result, look at the big picture. I agree with you. Last time when Pluto moving into Aquarius, that the French Revolution was the most striking things together with also we was an industrial revolution in one way, and we can see what we are facing at this moment. All the blockchain, AI, all the technology, they're shooting tens of millions of satellites in the sky. That's another thing we should worry because it's another pollution. But with the, I don't want to go to terrify everyone to
Oh, no,
death.
no.
But no, I mean from my side, because I have that kind of a dark and doom personality sometimes, easily to go that way. But yes. French Revolution is not fun. It's not in one night and everyone get braids. No. It started with very dark and it end even darker. You don't know. I think if people study the history will know after French Revolution, there's a region of terror come right after. There's a blood region. They trying to kill each other. If you are not with me, I will send you to the guillotine. And that is terrible thing. And that, like you say, some people will call it, is a dark side for Aquarius. Because
Yes.
one part of Aquarius mythology is related to Uranus, and Uranus kick all those his offspring are doesn't look like him
Yeah.
back to the earth, back to the Gaia. So you are
Yeah.
not like me, you go back, push them back, and cause the pain of the earth. We are familiar with all this. You should get out of my country, and that. Ugh.
Oh,
That is
oh,
not very nice, I think. But you say something very beautiful, but also very, very fit into the Aquarius, because we have Jupiter, Saturn conjunct Aquarius beginning with, and Pluto come to polish it. Pluto come
yes.
to polish it, and that community spirit is exactly what we really need.
Yeah. I agree. Thanks for bringing up the myth of Uranus and Gaia, and that because I that's such an important part of
Yeah,
Aquarius, and I don't hear people bring up that one a lot, anymore.
yeah,
I hear more people talk about Prometheus, which is also so relevant, but that one about Uranus, shoving his offspring back into the earth. Yes, yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Yeah,
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 so what can we expect about? This Mars is about in the next month. It will start retrograde at 6 degree
yeah.
of the Leo. So, do we need to prepare anything, or in the everyday's life, or what? Like maybe the things we do at this moment, are we going to correct it during that time, or anything? We we will have that reflect, or I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
during that retrograde time.
Well, the fire signs are. It's interesting to me that the both Mercury and Mars will be retrograde in fire signs
Exactly.
at the same
Yes.
time, overlapping. And oh, I don't know why balloons just went on my
That's nice.
That's
There's a
Mercury and
fireside. There's a
Mars.
fireside cheer up.
Yeah, yeah. um, and fire signs. Well, one of the things that fire signs are about is self-awareness,
Mm.
and awareness of oneself as a uh, well, I don't want to say independent, but yeah, as a purposeful being.
Mm.
And so I think that we really need to kind of come into this greater sense of uh, fire signs want to look for the purpose in it all, like the higher purpose. And this is an interpretation of fire that I really like, because it's like the Jupiter, particularly, not to jump planets, but like Sagittarius, for
Hmm.
it provides this kind of sense of there's this deeper abiding inner order and coherence to things, to life, to my life, to my sense of what I'm here to do in this world. And I think Leo connects with that as well. And, Mars
Yeah.
carries out the order, it carries the soldiers' commands, kind of that, like the marching orders, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
So I think tuning into one of the other dangers of the Aquarius kind of thing is I was listening to this great interview that I would love everyone who's tuning in with us to look at this interview with this astrologer who's no longer with us. Her name's Alice Howell, and it's an
Hmm.
interview by Ray Gross.
Hmm.
Ray Gross interviewing Alice Howell back in the like late 1990s, maybe, and she's talking about how like the one of the dangers of Aquarius and the time, this like Aquarian, whether you want to call it the Aquarian age or like a big kind of airy or Aquarian epoch that we're living in, is the kind of senselessness of things, that it's like
Mm.
things are just random and meaningless, and not in a liberating, not in a way that's like, great, things are, that means I can just live my life lightly and like do, and play and be free and spontaneous, but more in the sense of like nothing coheres. It's like I
Mm.
can be like walking down the street and just be shot, or I can just like life is just so cruel and random. And that there's something about Aquarius, because of its depersonalized kind of quality, where we might feel more the tendency to feel that cruelty of that randomness in a way that is just like, it just makes us numb,
Mm.
So I'm saying this because I think that the fire is a counterbalance to that, partly
Mhm.
because it it provides us with a capacity to tune into the inner order of things, to our inner compass, to our own soul's code, to our own soul's inner order of things. And I think that's going to be a really great asset in these upcoming few months. Well, particularly, or these next several weeks, Um, so, so like an awareness of your purpose, and of uh, how is it in your heart to bring your medicine and your genius magic to the times that we're living in, even to dark and scary kinds of aspects of the times. So tuning into that heart and that sense of inner fire and life force that burns brightly, even in the midst of this kind of seeming senselessness, nihilism, people succumbing to the lower octaves of Aquarius and Leo, which could be pride and arrogance and rage and all those things. Yeah.
Wow,
So.
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for this word. I think this is what we need at this moment. Doesn't matter, like most of our audience also in the Europe, and
Yeah.
we are not direct has direct impact for the U.S. presidential election, but everyone has their side also. But also
Yeah.
the weather is dark and gloomy, and Spain just has a huge flow. I think we experience that kind of a hardship. Winter is coming, brace yourself. But I think it beautiful. You beautifully bring out that the fire side, the Venus, and then not Venus, yeah, Venus is there, but the Mercury and Mars in the fire side, and when they retrograde, I think we need to reach our heart to
Yeah.
bring out those light. I think the purpose that is so important. That is really important because I think, yeah, there's things we couldn't control. We admit there's a lot of things we couldn't control. But at least we know why we are here and what are we doing. So use that fire to continue. That flame is so important, and you use that beautiful word to say it. I can never express in that beautiful way. Thank you so much, Nat. I think this is a very special moment. Couple days ago, I even when I see the result, I even wondering, say, well, should I discuss with you? Are you? What should we talk about this? Because I know some people would be a little bit frustrated,
Yeah.
and should we mention? I think I just like, you know what? Let's just go with flow. Just that a fireside guiding us. I think it will comes out because that's the Mars in Leo. That's from our heart. That's
Yeah.
from our heart. We just speak from our heart and don't be, well, I mean, you mentioned that one thing is very important. Don't that kind of a rage
Yeah.
destroy everything because there's no point. It's not going to help. But if you speak your heart out, and I mean, I mean that would be really nice. And beautifully, you also mentioned that Aquarius side. Yeah, Aquarius is, there's a lot of good quality of Aquarius. Personally, I'm selling Aquarius. I admit that. We are
Oh,
great.
yeah,
I'm joking. But I also understand if people disagree with me, what would I think? In that darkness Aquarius mind, it's like you wait. You
right.
definitely wait. I'm going to that's the kind of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, so I understand that feeling. So when Pluto moving to the Aquarius finally in end of this month, finally moving, settle down in Aquarius, well, we are going to see more than that. We are going to see more than that. What we can deal with that is we also use the Aquarius remedy with the with community, work with our community and focus on, I think you are right. That kind of a, sometimes Aquarius has like big idea, big purpose, whole society, for a whole human race or for the universe. So you should sacrifice yourself. Oh, the fuck, like a, and that sometimes sounds very terrifying, so very terrible. So, well, thank you for taking your time out today to share this important message with us today. Well, do you have anything want to add it in before we, finish today's podcast?
Yes. um, I'll give you just two images from different stories because I work a lot with story and mythology.
Beautiful.
And one of them I've been thinking about is there's a story, it's relevant to fire signs actually. There's a folk tale called Fire on the Mountain. And I won't tell the whole thing, but just basically there's a there's a there's a boy who is like basically in servitude. He's a servant, and uh, his master kind of coerces him or manipulates him into going and standing on the top of the coldest mountain in all of their land. And he has to stand up there all night with no clothing, no food, no blankets, and no fire to keep him warm. And see if he can. It's like, if you survive the whole night, then I'll give you, enough money so that you won't have to work a day in your life, and I'll give you one of my mansions or something, because he was very rich or whatever. So the young boy is like stuck and goes to one of the wise elders of his village and tells the wise elder about his predicament. And the wise elder says, I know what to do. You'll go up there, you'll go to the top of the mountain, you'll follow all those conditions. Across the valley, there's another mountain. And in the middle of the night, I will go up to the top of that other mountain across the valley. And you won't have a fire next to you, but so you might be freezing, but I will light a fire on top of the mountain across the way. And just look at the fire that I light, and keep your gaze focused on my fire, and you will last if you keep your focus on the fire that I light, that will last you through the night. So he does exactly that, and he, like, just when the boy like thinks he's about to breathe his last breath, he's like shivering and his skin is turning blue and all of that, that he like looks across the valley and he sees this very distant flame that the friend in his village has lit, and he just does not take his focus off of the flame, off the valley, across the valley, and he lasts through the whole night, up until the sun comes up and then goes back down again. So for me, this is an image about resilience. It's like, there's a quality of like mind over matter, imagination and focus, and persistence and perseverance over the perceived limitations and fears of the body. So what I want to offer people with this story is like, what is powerful and convincing enough for your imagination that will get you through even the darkest of moments, even when, in the metaphor of this story, you're about to freeze to death, right? what is that fire across the valley for you that will hold your attention and produce enough heat for you, enough inner heat for you to make it through and to confront the challenges that come your way. And another key important part of that is that there was a community aspect. There was a friend stepped in to help and
Mm.
co-created that focus, co-created that vision and that support system. So I think stories like that are really important in these times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So beautiful, really beautiful. And I think that is like you say, in that story, there's an element of a fire, there's an element of like you use your power, your willpower, your imagination, but also that, like you say, there is a community spirit. We
Yes.
support each other. You light up, you can be the light for yourself, you can be light for other people. So
Yeah.
I think that is really, really important for this moment. If the world, if people are going to be divided, then maybe you should not be the one who start to divide it. Say you are that's one supporter. I will never speak to you anymore. I think, well, that's what they want, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the more we have to let our root systems kind of reach out
Mm.
and create networks that we didn't even know existed.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And you mentioned something I forget while we are conversation. I totally forget to echo that part. Is the big empire falling down?
Oh,
That
yeah.
whole the system, whole the injustice are embodied, are binding in this system.
Yeah.
So someone have to take it down, and maybe that start to work. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, thank you, Nat, for your beautiful word, and I wish you have a nice day, and take as much as time you need to
Thank you so much.
to rest. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah, and next week we will have our podcast near the same time, and I'm trying to invite Terry in. I don't know if Terry is here or not, but Terry, if Terry is okay to join me, we will have a quick conversation about the transit next week. But thank you, Nat, and have a nice week. Bye
Have a great
bye.
week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.